Wind stacks against the rotor disc as the aircraft holds low over open scrub. Dust streaks across the canopy, caught in crosswind glare. Inside the cockpit, Captain Erin Wade tracks a red timer blinking on her console. 100 seconds to the close of the medical window. Her flight gloves rest steady on the collective. She listens without blinking. Abort. 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 The voice from operations control repeats through clipped static. She acknowledges receipt, not compliance. Her pen presses once against the flight kneeboard. The entry is simple. Command aborts. Crew alive. She slides the note under the checklist and glances at her co-pilot. He reads it, nods once, and adjusts trim to hold position. Signal integrity drops by half. The second aircraft holds 100 yards overhead, orbiting through haze. Rotor wash flattens brush below. Instruments reflect across her visor like a heads-up display. The timer blinks again. 90 seconds. No speech fills the intercom. Only rotor slap. Radio hiss. And a heartbeat low pass through her headset. Visibility falls under 100 yards. Operations control doubles transmission power. One voice overlaps another. The order repeats. She confirms recording status active. Her tone stays procedural. Acknowledged, she says, marking the time aloud. Every movement now is part of record. The red digits on the timer flash to 70. She exhales once and resets grip on collective. Command channel doubles, one voice overrides another. The heartbeat under noise sinks to rotor speed. Her gaze fixes on the smoke layer where the beacon still pulses faintly. 6 signatures. No motion. She writes the numbers without comment. Fuel clock hits 3 minutes to bingo. Command aborts. Crew alive. Her voice is steady. The aircraft drifts forward into crosswind. She lowers her hand. The sound builds but stops 1 second before motion. The aircraft holds steady and hover under a low ceiling. Dust drifts across the canopy, light catching each particle like static. Inside, a pen scratches a timestamp on the clipboard while a red recording icon pulses on the tablet beside it. Captain Erin Wade's voice stays even. The command channel is silent. Her authority in this second is complete. Signal feed confirms recording active. Cabin light holds steady at low intensity. The hum of power units blends with the wind pressing against the glass. A radio chirp cuts through the air, short and sharp. Acknowledgement received. She keeps her eyes on the instruments, documenting without emotion. Every line recorded as evidence. The tablet continues to blink red. Wind crossload increases, but control remains stable. Document everything. Subscribe now and tell us where you're watching from. Before dawn, the temporary Air Force strip hums under a low ceiling of dust. Floodlights push through haze, their beams fractured by grit that never settles. The ground trembles with generator rhythm and the dull echo of engines idling in formation. Cold air smells of fuel and sand. Visibility shifts with each gust. The operation clock reads 0430 hours. Every sound is measured. Every movement has purpose. Boots crunch over gravel toward the aircraft line. Crew chiefs move with headlamps tilted low, tightening tie-downs, checking safety wire. The metal clank of wrenches cuts through the wind. Hydraulic lines hiss as pressure builds under test. Captain Erin Wade walks the line once, clipboard under arm, laminated checklist in place. Her posture is controlled, neither rushed nor slow. Each action reads as habit born from repetition. Visibility drops below 100 yards. Floodlights cast long blades of shadow beneath the 2 aircraft. The scrub terrain around the strip glows faintly where sand sweeps across reflective tape. Wade pauses at the left bird, its blades folded and tied, rotors streaked with dust from last sortie. Crew Chief Morales steps back from the intake inspection and nods. All clear, he says through his headset. The words flatten into static and vanish into the background hum. Generator output surges, then stabilizes. The air carries grit that sticks to skin and equipment alike. The temperature hovers near freezing, but the wind feels dry and electric. Each checklist call builds rhythm power, torque, med kit, Camera on. Lieutenant Brady reads from the cockpit, his voice steady, the tone of practiced coordination. Wade marks items off the flight kneeboard, pen strokes audible beneath the turbine whine rising from idle. Fuel count holds at 40 minutes total. At 0438 hours, the hum deepens. Turbines spool up layers over generator drone until both merge into one vibrating tone. The exhaust haze from the auxiliary power unit spreads low across the ground. A paper form pinned to a clipboard flutters once, then stills under her gloved hand. Nearby, a fuel truck idles beside a maintenance cart. A wrench slips from a pocket and clatters against the concrete. Nobody reacts. Command uplink freezes for 6 seconds. Floodlights flicker once as current shifts under load. Wade glances toward the operations trailer at the far edge of the strip, 100 yards away. Inside, a comtech gestures through fogged glass. Thumbs up. Link restored. She acknowledges with a raised pen. Never breaking sequence. Brady calls next line item. Flight log synced. Camera system armed. She responds. Copy. A short radio chirp confirms transmission. Rotor tie-downs loosen. Fabric straps flapping in wind. Crew Chief Morales stows the chocks, crouching low as dust lifts in sheets. The aircraft nose dips slightly under self-test cycle. Hydraulic pitch changes tone, climbing through pressure check. The cockpit light glows amber against Wade's visor. She checks her reflection in the glass. Instruments mirrored in each eye. Command link delay extends to 8 seconds. Morales signals thumbs up from the ramp. Wade turns, signaling the same to Brady. The second aircraft powers on in sequence. Blades start their slow rotation, the metallic sigh of motion through sand-laced air. The wind rising from wash sends grit across floodlight beams, creating halos in suspension. A thin layer of sand builds at her boots, shifting with each vibration. Generator hum fades into turbine spool up. Inside the cockpit, air feels charged. Static crackles faintly over the intercom. Wade slides her flight gloves tighter, presses the recorder switch, and leans forward into the glow of instruments. Temporary strip, pre-dawn local. Her voice cuts through the hum, clear and restrained. The phrase is a marker, not an announcement. A point in record that defines where routine becomes traceable evidence. Fuel level recalculated at 40 minutes, no variance. Paper rustles on her kneeboard as Brady reads back the risk matrix. His tone is steady but cautious. Ingress 15 minutes, on station 10. Egress 15. Any delay past med window becomes command deviation. She replies, logged. A second later, the radio light flashes once, signaling incoming transmission from higher. Static wipes across the channel. No words yet, only a carrier tone. Command uplink latency persists at 9 seconds. She glances to the clock. 0442 hours. The mission remains green on her checklist. 6 personnel down. 20 miles east. No confirmed threat signatures. The label from command reads, Containment Zone. It's a term meant to slow operations, not describe them. Wade underlines it twice. Ink smearing slightly on her knee paper. Wind shakes the aircraft canopy. Her pen tip hovers above the next line. Hydraulic output at nominal pressure. Floodlights strobe briefly as generator load shifts again. The wind sharpens. Sand grains hit the glass like soft rain. Wade keeps writing. Brady looks up from his page, then back to instruments. Crew Chief Morales finishes final walk around, hand resting on fuselage as if to feel pulse through metal. Wade calls over the intercom. Ready 2. Brady echoes. Ready 1. Static answers. Visibility down to 80 yards. The operations trailer door opens. A figure leans out, headset half on, holding a clipboard. The motion is small but visible through haze. He raises a hand and points to the radio mast behind him. The light atop it flashes amber twice, then goes steady green. That color means stand by, not launch. Wade watches for 3 full seconds before responding. Holding pattern acknowledged, she says evenly. Command uplink confirmed intermittent. Her eyes return to the timer on her board. 40 minutes of flight, each second pre-planned. The wind shifts again, blowing exhaust haze sideways across the strip. The turbines idle at mid-RPM, sound steady, but contained. Brady's voice lowers. Satellite confirmation pending. She nods once, the headset clicking as she turns toward the operations trailer still glowing behind the dust. Generator oscillation within safe parameters. The team stands ready. The system hesitates. Above them, light bleeds out of the eastern horizon, barely visible through haze. Wade closes her kneeboard and rests her hand on the cyclic. Everything that can be prepared is done. The last checklist line reads, awaiting clearance to lift. The word clearance glows faintly from marker ink reflecting cockpit light. Fuel status verified at launch threshold. In the comms channel, a pause stretches. Higher headquarters comes online again. Voice distant and level. Hold position pending satellite confirmation. The order lands like static, its meaning sharp but detached. Wade looks at the timer again. The margin shrinks by the minute. Around her, the aircraft breathes like a machine waiting for purpose. The first fracture in command appears right here. The aircraft lifts into steady turbulence, nose pointed east toward the crash site. Mid-morning haze spreads across uneven terrain, a patchwork of scrub and ash still smoldering from last week's burn. Sunlight flickers through shifting smoke layers, scattering visibility to less than 200 yards at a time. Captain Erin Wade steadies the collective, monitoring torque and climb rate. The cockpit hums with controlled vibration. Every sound carries weight. Fuel rate climbs beyond planned margin. 0, 9, 31 hours. Radio static fills the left channel. Operations control pushes through noise with clipped phrasing. Status request followed immediately by an abort order. Wade copies each call and logs both on her kneeboard. The pencil tip vibrates with rotor tremor as she writes. Lieutenant Brady leans into the intercom. Command channels overlapping itself again. He says. She answers. Record both. The clock blinks red at 9 minutes en route. Signal strength cuts in half. Wind shear presses against the fuselage, rattling the airframe. The aircraft rocks once, then stabilizes under manual trim. The medic in back steadies his gear bag with one hand, counting out casualty time intervals. He speaks quietly, the numbers audible in rhythm with the engine. Hum, 35 minutes post-injury. 36, 37. Wade hears each mark and logs them alongside the flight data. Evidence first, commentary second. Command repeats abort order. A tone sounds across the cockpit, a dual chime that merges into low rotor drone. Wade acknowledges the alert and resets the caution light. Fuel burn climbs another 1.5 pounds per minute. The headwind has intensified. She adjusts pitch angle by 3 degrees and notifies her wingman over tactical frequency. Adjust to 900 feet AGL. Maintain spacing 200 yards. The response comes through muffled but clear enough. 2 copies. Headwind adds 6 minutes to flight time. Outside, the valley opens in uneven folds. Smoke columns pulse along the ridgeline where the recon vehicle burned out. The terrain looks flat from altitude but ripples with invisible heat distortion. Wade tracks coordinates on her display, aligning the projected ingress route against live terrain. Each time she stabilizes, interference spikes again, throwing the mapping overlay into static. She resets 3 times before it holds steady. Medical timer hits 38 minutes post-injury. 0, 9, 37 hours. Command voice returns. Distant and authoritative. All flights. Return to base. Abort confirmed. Repeat. Abort confirmed. Wade does not answer immediately. She watches the beacon still blinking ahead. A faint pulse through haze. Steady and alive. Her pencil scratches once against the board. One new line of record appears. Abort confirmed. 0931Z. She circles it once, then continues checklist monitoring without deviation. The act of writing replaces the act of argument. Fuel window drops to 22 minutes remaining. Brady recalculates distance and time. If the wind holds, Ingress stretches to 15 minutes, he says. Wade nods, eyes on the horizon, then 10 on station, 15 back. It's not a plan. It's arithmetic. The medic's voice comes again. Shock threshold. Near. The hum inside the cabin shifts pitch as the engine compensates for gust load. Wade trims again, maintaining hover stability in forward flight. Her tone remains even. Log it, she says. Command uplink delay extends beyond 10 seconds. The flight recorder light blinks amber. The onboard data buffer strains under multiple transmissions stacking at once. The signal degrades, then returns, distorted by compression noise. Through the interference, another instruction filters through, contradicting the last. Resume approach. Verify crash site security before extraction. Wade reads it aloud so the cockpit has mutual record. Brady exhales, glancing toward the medic. No one comments. She answers calmly. Negative security confirmation. Continuing recovery vector until verified. Visibility drops under 100 yards. The aircraft shudders through another pocket of turbulence. Wade lowers altitude by 50 feet to stay under the smoke layer. Below, the terrain breaks into a shallow basin, the color of iron. Burn scars trace the route where the recon element went down. A glint of wreckage flashes, then disappears behind smoke. The beacon tone continues. Steady, rhythmic. Wade sets course bearing directly toward it and notes, visual intermittent. Fuel transfer valve opens automatically. 0940 hours. The cockpit air smells of electrical heat and hydraulic fluid. Brady leans forward, wiping condensation from his visor. The medic calls out pulse intervals on the survivor's tracker. Wade hears only one faint double tone now instead of 6. She writes, signal fade. 5 of 6 confirmed. Her left hand steadies the kneeboard while her right manages cyclic drift. Dust crosses the canopy in sheets of gray light. Engine temperature climbs 2 degrees above nominal. Command requests sitrep. She transmits Flight 1 on course, 10 miles east of base, negative visual contact with survivors, beacon active, fuel at 21 minutes. The response overlaps itself. 2 voices again, one authorizing continuation, the other ordering full return. Wade's eyes narrow slightly, but her posture never shifts. Log both, she tells Brady. Timestamp and annotate. He writes, pencil bouncing with vibration. Signal interference spikes to 70%. A metallic rattle from aft signals shifting cargo. The medic re-secures his harness straps and tightens the equipment lash. Over the intercom, he reports, triaging window closing. Wade answers, logged. She checks instrument readouts again, noting wind direction, drift. The compass card trembles, oscillating under stress. She records heading correction manually. Her breathing stays measured. The sound of rotor wash fills every pause. Command channel repeats incomplete sentence fragments. The valley deepens ahead. Wade adjusts to low-level approach, maintaining radio silence for 10 seconds. The terrain scanner flickers in and out, projecting ghost ridges across the display. She marks each anomaly in pencil on the side column of her chart. Brady's voice comes soft. Ground radar just dropped us off tracking. She nods once. Then we're on our own for 5 miles. The hum rises as she increases throttle slightly. Ground radar contact lost at 0947 hours. Static builds on every frequency. The aircraft's external lights blur through smoke as the wind drives debris across the flight path. Wade's focus narrows to the instrument's torque, altitude, temperature. She reads them in sequence like a mantra, checking each against expectation. Brady flips through comm presets, searching for clean signal. Operations room can't hear us, he says. She answers. Then record for post-action. Nothing verbal lost. Fuel burn exceeds contingency threshold. At 0948 hours, a false alarm pings on the threat warning display. A flash artifact misread as launch. Brady calls it out, Wade identifies reflection off debris and cancels alert. Negative engagement. She transmits to both command channels. The message cuts mid-sentence. When it returns, only her own voice echoes back through delay. The medic looks up but says nothing. Wade adds to her log false alarm confirmed, continuing per recovery protocol. Flight data recorder reaches buffer limit. The airframe vibrates more violently as turbulence compounds with downdraft. Each tremor translates through her arms into the cyclic. She compensates, inch by inch. Brady resets autopilot assist. The medic repeats vital timer 40 minutes post-injury. Window closing. Wade's tone sharpens into precision. Understood. Maintain readiness. She crosses one leg under the other for leverage and steadies the board. Outside. The crash site contour begins to form under haze. Command oversight lists flight as non-compliant. She doesn't respond. The record is clear enough. Every second of deviation is documented. Her voice remains calm. Flight 1, maintaining altitude. Continuing visual confirmation. No reply. Only static rolling through the headsets like slow surf. Brady rubs the condensation off his visor again. Morales' voice from the second aircraft breaks through faintly. Distorted. We've got signal flicker from the ground. Confirm, Wade answers. Confirmed flicker. Fuel state critical at 18 minutes remaining. The hum of the aircraft merges with the pulse in her ears, indistinguishable from one another. Every surface trembles. The radio handset dangles between transmissions, swinging once, tapping the console with each oscillation. She holds focus on the external feed. The shape of the downed airframe appears, a hollow shadow through smoke. No movement visible, yet the beacon persists. Wade writes, visual contact, probable. Continue approach. Visibility stabilizes at 200 yards. 0952 hours. Command's last clear transmission replays in memory more than reality. Abort confirmed. She logs it again for redundancy. Then she looks forward and marks the exact coordinate on her board. Recovery point reached, she says quietly. Brady nods. The medic prepares restraints for extraction. Wade adjusts throttle to hover. The airframe resists, fighting against turbulent crosswinds. She steadies it, waiting for clarity before descent. Medical timer exceeds 41 minutes. Her instruments vibrate out of sync with the rotor beat now, small delays turning rhythmic into uneven. She adjusts one more time. Stabilized. She says to no one in particular. Brady glances toward her, then at the horizon. The beacon flares again, brighter through the smoke. The transmission window clicks open automatically, awaiting her acknowledgement. She doesn't transmit yet. Command uplink remains unstable. The pencil rolls across the kneeboard and drops to the floor. She catches it before it slides under the seat. One deep breath, measured, engine tone steady, hands anchored on controls. She waits, disciplined, still under procedural compliance. Every deviation logged, every second accountable. The cockpit light shifts from amber to red as smoke thickens outside. The aircraft holds in position. This is the last stable second before control flips. Dust folds over the canopy as Captain Erin Wade brings the aircraft below the smoke line. The basin lies ahead, shallow and uneven, half hidden under glare. The wind shifts direction every few seconds, pressing grit across the glass. The air smells of burned vegetation mixed with fuel vapor. Her voice stays level, descending to local visual. The second aircraft maintains 200 feet of separation above her, rotors carving a second orbit of turbulence. Signal clears on encrypted channel. Brady calls altitude. Tone clipped. 50 feet to touchdown zone. Wade steadies the cyclic. The crash site emerges from haze-fractured panels, scorched brush, faint movement near a twisted fuselage. A thin thermal flicker shows 6 distinct signatures. She toggles transmission. Visual confirm. 6 survivors. 2 immobile. Each word carries over the uplink with delay. In the static, higher headquarters falls silent for 9 seconds. Then the acknowledgement copy local contact. Thermals confirm 6 heat signatures intact. Wade leans forward, eyes narrowed against the haze. Maintain orbit, she tells the second aircraft. I'm taking ground lead, Brady replies. Confirmed. The medic in back prepares triage rigging, straps across his shoulder plates. He checks the vitals monitor, clips it to the camera feed. Every movement adds data. Every transmission builds the proof record that turns uncertainty into admissible fact. Wade's hands remain steady on the controls. Fuel clock hits 11 minutes on station. She descends through the last 50 feet, eyes alternating between instruments and the strobe beacon pulsing faint red below. The wash throws sand in spirals across the basin floor. Dust coats the canopy until visibility shrinks to shadow outlines. She eases the collective down, skids kissing the uneven dirt. The hum of the turbine deepens into pulse rhythm. Her breathing matches it unconsciously. Slow, measured, procedural. Crew chief signals ready to load. The medic jumps out, boots sinking in loose soil. His voice cuts through the intercom. 2 critical, 4 ambulatory. Wade copies and timestamps the report. The camera mounted above her shoulder captures everything stretchers unfolding, hands moving through haze, the faint reflection of her checklist lamp glowing in visor glass. The other aircraft holds above, light steady against the clouded sky. Dust swirls around them like static on a screen. Command uplink returns with confirmation tone. Transmit proof feed, Wade says. Brady switches the relay from record to send. The live vitals overlay pulses across the encrypted channel heart rates, coordinates, timestamps, video feed. The operations room can no longer argue theory. They can see the evidence as she sees it. Silence follows again. Then the phrase, calm and formal. Local authority revalidated. She speaks it back once for the record. Copy. Local authority revalidated. Telemetry feed stabilizes from static to clarity. The medic's voice sounds over the comm. First casualty tagged. Pulse weak. Loading now. Wade notes the time. 09:58 hours. The crew chief gestures to the ramp, directing each movement by hand signal. Wind buffets the fuselage, bending light around the haze. Wade's visor reflects red warning LEDs and the faint motion of dust outside. Keep blades at flat pitch, she tells Brady. Hold torque at limit line. Infrared strobe confirmed ground position. Second aircraft reports from Overwatch. No hostile thermals within 500 yards. The comms tone flickers clean again, clearing the interference that plagued the route in. Wade transmits full package upstream. Imagery, vitals, and location grid. Command's data officers confirm receipt with one sentence, negative hostile presence. Wade's voice doesn't shift. Acknowledged. Continuing extraction. The proof is now undeniable. The chain of command folds back into place. Engine vibration normalizing under load. The first stretcher locks into the cabin. The medic kneels, steadying the line as the second casualty is carried through dust. Wade glances back once, then returns eyes to instruments. Fuel check, she says. Brady responds. 9 minutes left at hover. She calculates distance back to the temporary strip. 15 minutes outbound. 11 on station. 15 return, offset by tailwind. Margin regained by precision, not defiance. Rotor wash intensifies at crosswind. She updates voice log. Extraction phase initiated. 2 critical onboard, 4 ambulatory pending. Each sentence measured against the hum of the turbine. No wasted phrasing. The checklist lamp reflects in her visor, a metronome of procedure. The second aircraft maintains cover altitude, scanning with forward-looking infrared. Its feed overlays onto Wade's screen, a mosaic of confirmation frames blinking in sync with her own data stream. Thermal integrity confirmed across both platforms. Outside, smoke drifts low across the basin, dulling the sun. Shadows move in slow rhythm under the rotors. The medic reports. All 6 accounted for. Second aircraft clear to lift. Wade answers. Copy. Extraction complete. Stand by for ascent. She documents each line on her kneeboard, handwriting compressed and angular from vibration. The pencil tip snaps once, then continues moving without pause. No emotion, only procedure. Data link synchronization complete. Command voice returns after delay. Proceed to RTB. Medical priority for 2 criticals. All deviations logged under authorized local discretion. Wade listens without reaction. Acknowledged, she says. Her tone remains even. Recovery concluded. No engagement recorded. The second aircraft begins ascent, rotors pulling fresh dust into vortices around her own. Wade brings throttle forward, engine pitch rising toward takeoff threshold. Crew chief reports cabin secured. She checks panel lights, ensuring every circuit returns to green. Ready for lift, she says into the intercom. Brady's confirmation follows. All systems nominal. The medic tightens straps around the stretchers, covering each casualty with thermal blankets. Wade adjusts the recorder gain to capture the turbine note as data verification tone. Maintain comms, she says quietly. The hum of power builds, shaking dust from every surface. Fuel state reads 7 minutes to reserve. Above, the second aircraft calls visual confirmation. You're clear for climb. Wade nods once, unseen. The rotor pitch increases. The dust cloud folds back under pressure. She steadies the cyclic, eyes forward on the navigation display. The horizon line reappears through thinning haze. For the first time in 20 minutes, both aircraft share stable telemetry. Command's data mirrors her feed exactly, evidence in duplicate. Signal integrity verified across both transmissions. Altitude passes 100 feet, then 2. Brady logs time of departure 09:59 hours. The medic speaks once more. Vitals stable. Pressure good. Wade answers. Copy. The turbines surge into climb power, smooth and even. The basin below shrinks. Still burning in scattered patches, but no longer threatening. Every sensor reading now clean. Every false signature erased by proof. The record stands complete. Command acknowledges lawful extraction. Wade levels at 800 feet, setting heading back toward the temporary strip. The sound inside the cockpit changes pitch, the deep resonance of lift giving way to cruise rhythm. She toggles the recorder to final log and speaks the closure line. Recovery completed. No contact. No casualties. The phrase enters the record. Immutable. The blinking red light steadies, then stops flashing as she signs the entry aloud. She exhales once, steady and controlled. The mission's reversal is now official, documented, and verified in every channel. The hangar is quiet except for the low hum of a generator and the soft scratch of pen on paper. Fluorescent light glows against metal tables lined with flight logs and maintenance sheets. The air smells of oil and paper. Wind outside still carries a trace of rotor dust. Captain Erin Wade stands at a desk marked with a single clipboard. The top page stamped, "Review complete." Her uniform sleeves are rolled, ink smudge on her wrist where the pen rests. Across from her, the commander reviews the deviation report without commentary. Each section is clean. Times, coordinates, and sensor data all cross-referenced. He reads the phrase she recorded mid-flight: command aborts. Crew alive. The record now sits in its final column. Evidence replacing speculation. Wade's handwriting is precise. Each line a timestamp that ties judgment to proof. The silence between them is procedural, not personal. Review entry verified under chain of command authentication. He signs beside her entry. The ink spreads slightly on the thin page before drying. Below his name, he writes one margin note. Decision justified. Procedure gap identified. There's no seal, no award, no reprimand. The clipboard moves to the file box labeled for audit. Its placement makes the correction permanent. Outside, the wind shifts the canopy reflection until both signatures merge in one mirrored surface. Proof preserves trust. Wade initials the transfer sheet, closes the binder, and sets the pen down parallel to the edge of the table. The hum of the generator fills the space left by speech, Documentation replaces motion. What was once pressure and noise resolves into clarity. Actions recorded, decisions reviewable, accountability intact. Log file archived for policy revision. In this system, correction replaces blame. The process absorbs experience and writes it into doctrine. Procedure ensures continuity. Evidence sustains command. Through discipline, the record keeps trust alive. The aircraft powers down under morning light. Turbine blades slow until only the hum of residual power fills the cockpit. Data feeds flicker once across the console, replaying the last frame of thermal imagery. A helmet camera rests on the dash, recording light bouncing through the canopy glass. The sound of distant wind passes over static still pulsing through the headset channel. This is where the question remains. Command review logged under closed status. Captain Erin Wade's deviation stands recorded, validated, and filed. Her chain of command accepts the proof, adjusts policy, and moves forward. The screen still shows one blinking cursor waiting for input. Above it, the flight log scrolls the phrase that framed this mission. Order or proof. You have seen the data, heard the call, and watched procedure shape the outcome. If this were your command seat, would you follow the abort order or act on verified evidence? Document your reasoning below. Morning light stretches across the airfield as the last turbine slows to a stop. Rotor blades drift under their own inertia, each turn quieter than the last. The crew steps off the ramp, stretchers carried between them, boots marking fresh prints over the same dust they lifted from hours earlier. One aircraft powers down, another is already refueled. The generator hum steadies back to baseline as the line chief resets instrumentation. Next case file uploaded under continuous review. Inside the operations tent, a blank flight log screen waits, cursor blinking steady over empty fields. Outside, the sunrise reflects across canopy glass, fading from amber to white. Tools return to racks. The documentation chain remains unbroken. Each mission folds into the next, without ceremony or pause. Next operation queued. If this mission reminded you why documentation outlasts opinion, like the report and stay subscribed. The next operation is already active, already recording, already accountable.